Rather than focusing on my schoolwork for these past few months, I read 30 manga recommendations that you guys sent in the Discord, and all I can say is, wow. This is definitely life altering, both in a good and bad way. I simply told you guys to send me one recommendation per person, tag me, and include the manga cover plus title to save me the heartache and time. Everyone who didn't do that, I will ban you. Now with all that being said, let's just get into it. You guys have waited long enough. Also, don't mind the minimal editing. I'm trying to get this video out in time this time. I'm changing my ways, I promise. When I opened this one, I expected something dramatic, maybe a little philosophical, but nothing too crazy. What I did not expect was to get slapped with what feels like a quiet goodbye letter stretched into an entire story. This manga is slow in the way real life is slow, where nothing happens until suddenly everything happens. And the whole premise of selling your lifespan for cash, it sounds like a joke until you realize it's actually terrifyingly realistic. Like, we go through that every single day. Because the more you read, the more you start asking yourself those uncomfortable questions you usually avoid. Like, how valuable really is my time? What have I actually done with it, and what am I waiting for? What really got me is how calm the storytelling is. There's no dramatic music cue, no explosion, no plot twist dropping out the sky. It's just straight introspection, loneliness, and those tiny moments of connection that hit harder than they really should. It felt like watching someone's life from across the street, knowing you can't change anything and you can only just witness it. This is one of those reads you finish quietly, sit back, and just think, I need to appreciate the next 24 hours a little more. The rating is 9 out of 10. Thanks Juice WRLD and Simon Waldy. Now, I kind of already read the first chapter in a previous video, but you guys still wanted me to read it, so here it is. Ajin Demi-Human immediately hooked me because it wastes zero time. It just throws you straight into the chaos. Like, congrats, you're immortal, and every government now wants to dissect you, literally. The thing about Ajin is that it never pauses to explain itself like most series do. It's cold, it's efficient, and it treats immortality like a curse, not a flex. And Sato, man, Sato is one of those villains where you start thinking, okay, this dude is kind of cool, and then he does something so insane you remember he's basically terrorism, but personified. What makes Ajin so good is the tension. It's that constant feeling of they are never safe, and every escape feels like a miracle you weren't supposed to witness. I loved how grounded it felt too. Like, all these supernatural elements are wrapped inside real politics, real corruption, and real fear. This is one of those worlds where humanity feels way scarier than the monsters. Every fight hits hard, every chase feels desperate, and every move the characters makes has consequences. If you like stories where hope feels thin and survival is strategy, not a guarantee, this one definitely delivers. I love this. The rating is a solid 8.2 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. Shout out to you, SAUNTIMO. Wistoria gave me the nostalgic anime comfort feeling, like the kind of story you binge in high school and think about for the rest of the week. I love the premise of a magic academy where the protagonist can't use magic. Instead of sulking or complaining, he just says, alright, bet, and just Loki locks in and starts swinging swords like his life depends on it too. And honestly, that determination carries the whole vibe of the series. There's something really wholesome about watching a character who has every reason to give up but doesn't. The world building is very cozy too. The cast feels familiar in a good way, and the pacing is clean. Nothing drags, nothing overstays its welcome, and it's the kind of manga where you always read just one more chapter and then it's suddenly 3 a.m. The art is clean too. Like, it sells the fantasy without trying too hard to be edgy or like overly serious. The story is not trying to reinvent the wheel, and it doesn't need to. It's straightforward, you know what I mean, comforting, and it's just generally fun to read. It reminds me that sometimes stories can be great just executing simple ideas very, very well. Yeah, the rating is a solid 7 out of 10. Thank you Zynilix for his recommendation. Bro, MobuSeka is one of the funniest things I've read in a while because the main character is powdered entirely by pettiness and spite. It's an ultimate world with giant mechs and ridiculous politics, and somehow it all works. What I like about this manga is that it knows exactly what it is, you know what I mean? It never takes itself too seriously. At the same time, it gives you these low-key emotional moments scattered between all the chaos. MC is one of those characters where you think, I would hate you in real life, but in fiction, you are hilarious. Every decision he makes feels like a mix between self-preservation and trolling everyone around him, bro. And yet, underneath all the comedy, there's a surprising amount of depth. You start noticing how he grows, how he learns to care, even though he swears he won't, and how he ends up being more heroic than he intended. This is one of those series where the world is fun, the characters are charming disasters, and the pacing keeps you hooked. It's chaotic in the best way possible. The rating is a solid 7.5 out of 10. Thank you Lelouch, the GOAT, for the recommendation. Now this one surprised me. I was expecting a typical Villainess redemption setup, you know, the I died and woke up in a book type story, I don't know. But this story has teeth. There's a level of emotional weight here that caught me off guard. The political tension, the body snatching angle, the internal monologue, it all comes together in a way that feels more grounded than the genre usually does. What I love is how the protagonist actually fights for control of her life, of her identity, and her future. She's not just surviving a story someone else wrote, she's actively rewriting it chapter by chapter. The emotional beats hit, plot moves at a perfect pace, and the stakes feel very, very real. This is one of those Villainous stories where the drama isn't exaggerated for the laughs, it actually makes you care. It balances vulnerability with power in a way that feels genuinely satisfying. Overall, it's sharp, smart, and way more gripping than I expect going in. So I'm giving this a solid 7.8 out of 10. Thank you, Still Kun. I only read a few chapters, but it was really good. This manga is so unserious, but it's low-key in the best way possible. It's funny, creepy, and oddly adorable all at once. Every chapter feels like a fever dream. You're not sure if you should laugh or be scared or just feel bad for the MC. Who somehow keeps attracting death flags by accident. The dynamic between characters is what carries the whole thing. It never leans too hard into romance, but the tension is always there. It's like that will she eat me or hug me feeling. It reminds me of those strange late night web mangas. You click the first chapter out of curiosity and suddenly you're like 40 chapters deep without realizing. It's light, it's weird, and it's fun. Every story needs to be like world ending stakes or life philosophy. Sometimes you just want something to read and with a grin, or you know, just fun, something fun to read. So the rating is a solid 7 out of 10. Shout out to Ref for that wreck. You guys see what I did there? This manga has such a soft, warm vibe. It's one of those stories where the chemistry between the characters feels natural from the second they meet. The delinquent boy and the honor student girl dynamic is a classic, but the execution here is what makes it special. Every scene feels very gentle, even the comedic ones. It's literally like reading sunlight. I love the quiet moments the most. Those scenes where nothing big happens, but you feel the characters becoming more comfortable with each other. Those hit harder than some of the big dramatic chapters to me. The art is beautiful too. It has that clean, airy style that makes even the simplest panel feel alive. This is the kind of romance that doesn't try to rush anything. It just lets the characters breathe, grow, and learn and understand each other naturally. If you like sweet stories that feel like a warm drink on a rough day, this is a great pick, trust me. The rating is a solid 8.3 out of 10. Thank you, Loverboy, for this rec. Now, Omori is not just a story, it is a whole atmosphere, and the fan base behind Omori is like, you know what I mean, it's a hit or miss. It's heavy, surreal, and so emotionally layered that you feel like you're walking through someone else's dreams and nightmares at the same time. The transitions between cute and horrifying are some of the best I've seen, I'll be honest, and the contrast is what makes it powerful in my opinion. What really shook me is how it portrays guilt, memory, and trauma. It's subtle at first, you know, little hints in the dialogue, strange imagery, moments that feel off in a way you can't explain, but the deeper you go, the more everything clicks, and then suddenly those small details you ignored hit like a truck. This isn't a manga or a game you play casually. It generally sits with you, makes you think about the things you hide even for yourself. If you've never played or watched Omori content before, you know the emotional weight it carries, you know what I mean? And the manga captures that perfectly. Rating is a 9 out of 10. Thank you, James, for his awesome recommendation. Battle Studies is one of the most brutally honest sports series I've touched in a long time. It's not polished, it's not inspirational in the traditional sense, it's raw. This manga shows the ugly side of competitive sports, the pressure, the ego, the burnout, the hierarchy, and the physical and mental toll it literally takes on young athletes. You can tell the author lived this life. Every chapter feels like a sort of confession. Some panels even made me uncomfortable. Not because they're bad, but because they're literally real, like this literally happens. It captured that environment where winning is everything, where kids push themselves past their limits just to avoid being left behind, and I love that. But at the same time, there's something deeply human about it. You see their hopes, you see their insecurities, you see their dreams, and you start rooting for them even when the story refuses to give the clean victories. So this is not just sport anime hype, this is sports reality. I'm giving this a solid 8.5 out of 10. Thank you, Nxrn, for that rec. Yo, this has been recommended me so much, but next we have Gantz, and this is just one of those series where you think you're prepared, and the story just looks at you, grab you on your shoulder, and says, no, you are not. This manga is chaotic, violent, it's weird, and it's philosophical all at once. It's messy, and the kind of intentional mess that actually means something. And the thing about Gantz is that it never lets you relax, bro, trust me. Every chapter feels like a countdown, like every mission feels like the last chance, and every character honestly feels disposable, because they are, essentially. Yet, in between all the chaos, there are surprisingly deep moments where the story questions humanity, morality, and what survival even means. The world itself just feels hostile. The characters are extremely flawed, sometimes painfully so. That's what makes it impactful. It feels like a series designed to make you uncomfortable on purpose. It's one of the few manga where the insanity actually serves a purpose. The rating is a 8.6 out of 10. Thank you, BirdyShirty. Well, this is cheating, but the next manga is Vagabond, and I'll be honest, Vagabond is my favorite manga of all time, so seeing it recommended, I had to put it here. And this is because Vagabond is not one of those mangas you just read, you experience it, literally. Every single page feels like the artist stopped time, stopped into the wilderness, stared at a mountain, and meditated for 3 hours, and then drew the panel. In a way, you're insane. The level of detail is just absurd. It's so beautiful that halfway through, I caught myself turning the pages slower on purpose. Like, didn't even want to disrespect the art by reading it too fast, bro. Beyond the visuals, it's the story that hit me. Vagabond is more than just a sword fight or historical accuracy. It's about a man trying to understand himself through his past mistakes. Miyamoto Musashi isn't portrayed as some anime style prodigy. He's messy, he's conflicted, and he's wrong a lot of the time. And watching him grow not through strength but through understanding was like one of the it's not done often. There's this constant theme of what it means to live honorably and how ego blinds you and how strength can become a prison if you never question it. It's quiet, it's thoughtful, and it's the kind of manga you sit after finishing a chapter and just think about your own life. This is easily one of the most beautiful and introspective works I've ever touched, and it's sad that it's not even finished. The rating is a 10 out of 10. Holy Pope, you are holy. Chainsaw Man. I finished the entire first part of the manga. It's awesome. It's one of those series where you think you're about to read a cool edgy shonen, and instead you get a chaotic blend of dark humor, heartbreak, and absolute insanity, bro, all wrapped in this weirdly compelling art style. Like, I love this art style. What surprised me the most wasn't the gore or the wild plot twist, but the humanity underneath everything. Denji is one of the most grounded protagonists I've seen. He's not trying to save the world or become the strongest. He just wants basic human things: food, love, safety, connection. And the thing is, the story never lets him have those things easily. That simplicity makes everything hit a little harder. Then you've got the rest of the cast. Strange, broken people who somehow feel real despite how surreal the world actually is. Power is just like chaotic, Aki's quiet grief, and Makima's Makima. I don't know. Watching their relationship shift and break was painful in a way I did not expect. Chainsaw Man thrives on contrast, comedy followed with tragedy, and tenderness followed by trauma. I recommend that everyone read Chainsaw Man if you haven't. It's really good. Rating is a 9 out of 10. Thank you, Potato Empress. Very funny, bro. Ryoman recommended me One Piece. We are not bringing back old jokes on the channel, bro, Chacho. One Piece is a 10 out of 10 though. This manga is uncomfortable, not in a bad way, in a way that feels intentional. Flowers of Evil dives into teenage shame, guilt, and rebellion, and the kind of emotions we don't like to admit we had growing up. It's slow, awkward, messy, and at times straight up painful. But that's why it works. You're basically watching a kid spiral into psychological tug-of-war that he's not even remotely prepared for, dragged along by someone who sees the worst parts of him and encourages them. And instead of glorifying the chaos, the story forces you to sit in the discomfort, and every bad decision feels like watching a car crash in slow-mo. Art matches the tone too. It's simple but expressive and almost eerie. The themes linger long after you close the book, trust me. It's not like a feel-good type of read. It's not meant to be. It's a story about confronting who you are when nobody's watching and the consequences of being dragged into someone else's darkness. This is a solid 8.4. Thank you, symbols that I cannot pronounce. Fire Punch is an experience. That's the best way I can describe it. It's from the creator of Chainsaw Man, and this manga is just chaotic, brutal, strange, and philosophical in the way that makes you question what the author was thinking. In a good way, of course. It feels like a nightmare where symbolism and emotional trauma are the main languages. The world is frozen and miserable, full of people doing horrible things just to survive. And you follow Agni, who's literally burning alive endlessly as he tries to find the meaning in endless suffering. It's bleak, but it's the kind of bleak that makes you think rather than just shock you. What stands out most is how unpredictable it is. You can never tell where the story is going next, and half the time you think you know turns into something far deeper or stranger. It's not a fun manga. It's raw, intense, and sometimes disturbing, but there's a weird beauty in how honest it is about pain and the search of purpose. Rating is a solid 8.1 out of 10. Thank you, Tiff, for this recommendation. Quick mid-roll break. Huge thank you to Hungry Mind for sponsoring this video with the book The Ultimate Guide to Rebuilding a Civilization. Imagine you woke up tomorrow and the internet, your notes, everything gone. How fast could you rebuild that humanity already figured out? That's basically what the book is. Over 400 pages, 180 topics across 23 chapters covering the most amazing inventions of humankind, all built around this really unique concept of how you would rebuild civilization from scratch. This isn't just an ordinary history or science book. It started as a top project on Kickstarter and went to become a bestseller. And when you hold it, you understand why. The size and design is crazy. You get unique handmade illustrations that look like a mix of engineering drawings and medieval art, special bindings, clever paper engineering, all printed on high quality matte art paper, and stunning laminated covers. It looks like a proper collector's item and it's actually really fun to read. Honestly, it's a perfect gift for a curious friend, parents, colleagues, or just for yourself. If you're interested in the Japanese version of the book, here's a quick couple notes. The shipping for the Japanese version will be about $35 since it comes directly from China and will take about like 2 weeks. And when you get to the Japanese page, you accidentally go to the English page. The best you can do to redirect to the Japanese page is by pressing the back button. Anyways, follow the link in the description and use my code TEFERI10 for 10% off your copy of the book. Let's get back to the video. This manga feels like a ghost story told inside a scrapbook. The art style immediately stood out to me, and that's what most people say. It's cute yet eerie, bright yet shallow, and the story matches that vibe perfectly. At first, I thought it was just gonna be some light supernatural school comedy, but it's surprisingly emotional. Characters are charming in the way that sneaks up on you. Hanako especially. He's mysterious, he's funny, and tragic all at the same time. The more the story unfolds, the more layers you realize he's carrying, and that's very interesting. The pacing is also really smooth. It balances humor, mystery, and those heavier moments without ever feeling disjointed, and visually, it's one of the most unique looking manga out there. Panels feel like illustrations, backgrounds feel alive, everything has this warm yet haunted atmosphere. It's one of those series you read for the aesthetic, stay for the characters, and end up feeling unexpectedly emotional about it. The rating is a solid 7.9 out of 10 for me. Shout out to Leila for this rec. Oh boy, this one is recommended a lot too. Kindgdom is the definition of epic, not just because of the massive battles or the political tensions, because of how much detail it goes into everything. The strategy, the characters, the growth, the ambitions, everything. Manga captures the brutality of war without ever glamorizing it. People bleed, people suffer, people die chasing their dreams bigger than themselves. The scale of it all, it's insane. Like armies of hundreds of thousands, generals who feel like legends, political schemes that stretch across nations. At the heart of the story is Shin, a kid who starts from nothing and slowly climbs his way toward becoming a great general. Watching his development is so satisfying because he gently earns everything. His victories are paid for with sweat, pain, and loss. If you love big stories with long payoffs, deep characters, and hype moments that feel very earned, Kindgdom is basically perfect. The rating is a 9.2 out of 10. Thanks Nori7650 for that awesome rec. Worl is one of the most emotional manga I've ever read, and that's saying something. It's about wheelchair basketball on the surface, but beneath that, it's about people who hit rock bottom and trying to find purpose again. Now, this one's made by Inoue again, creator of Vagabond and Slam Dunk, so you know this is gonna be a good one. What makes Worl so powerful is how honest it is. It doesn't sugarcoat disability, failure, or guilt. It shows you characters who are broken in the ways they're scared to admit, doing their best to move forward despite everything holding them back. Every chapter feels like the therapy the characters didn't ask for, but they all desperately needed it. And the art, it's incredible. Every expression feels lived in, every emotion feels heavy. It's one of those stories that doesn't rely on big twists or dramatic stunts. It's slow, thoughtful, and deeply human. The rating is a strong 9 out of 10. Thanks Soya Saus for the recommendation. Usogui is big brain gambling insanity at its finest. This manga treats mind games like martial arts. Every bet is a battle. Every lie is a weapon, literally. And every character is one misunderstanding away from a disaster. It's stylish, it's complex, and it's very intimidating. What I love most though was the confidence of the storytelling. It knows it's smart, you know? It knows the reader is paying attention, and it rewards you for noticing small details. Stakes are intense not because of the money, because of the psychological warfare is so extreme that losing feels like dying. Baku, the main character, is terrifying in the calmest way possible, but he just like seeps aura. You never fully know what he's thinking, but you know that he's thinking 20 steps ahead all the time. Tension in Usogui is unmatched. Every game feels like a trap disguised as another trap. So if you love stories that challenge your brain, this is like probably one of the best ones. The rating is a 10 out of 10. Thank you, Maida. Never escape. Not gonna ask about your name. Real Eclipse and SleepyCell. Also, sorry, Maida. I have not finished all of Usogui yet. I told him I was gonna do that for this video, but I will soon. This manga is peak. Now, I read this manga briefly, but I had to put it in the video again. This manga feels like an entire generation's childhood trauma and fears wrapped into like one giant mystery. Urasawa has a way of writing stories that feel like memories. Familiar, nostalgic, but with something unsettling underneath the surface. 20th Century Boys is about a group of friends who accidentally wrote a world-ending story as kids. Now someone in the present is recreating it in real life. That premise alone is insane. The execution is even better. The story jumps through time effortlessly, revealing clues piece by piece until everything clicks together. Not just a mystery, it's a reflection on innocence, lost dreams, and how the past never really stays buried. The suspense, the characters, the atmosphere, it all blends into something unforgettable. So I'm giving this a 9.3 out of 10. That's a cheese grater for setting this again. Red Blue is literally just pure grind set energy distilled into manga form. Something very raw about it. No flashy powers, no destiny talk, just fists, and the slow process of getting better one day at a time. They remind me why combat sports stories hit so hard when they're done so right. Every punch carries intent, every loss actually means something, and every win feels earned instead of handed out. What I appreciate most though is how grounded it was. Characters aren't romanticized as unbeatable machines. They get tired, they doubt themselves, they lose confidence. You feel the pressure of competition, the loneliness of training, and the constant internal voice asking whether it's even worth continuing. It's not about glory as much as about self-respect. Red Blue isn't trying to be revolutionary. It understands its lane perfectly, it's honest, it's focused, and it's quietly motivated. The rating is a solid 7.4 out of 10. This was amazing. Thank you question marks for this recommendation. Kagurabachi is the definition of a glow-up story. I remember when this series was just memes online and then suddenly it actually started cooking. Clean action, sharp paneling, and a surprisingly serious tone underneath the cool sword aesthetics. What really sold me was the restraint. Story doesn't over-explain itself. It lets the atmosphere, the choreography, and the quiet moments do the work. The revenge angle feels focused, not melodramatic, and the art knows exactly when to slow down and when to go all in. It's still early, but the foundation is strong. I feel like if it keeps this consistency, I can easily see it becoming something special. It's a solid 8 out of 10. Thank you Momo for the recommendation. Now 9 Peaks surprised me more than I expected. On the surface it looks like a delinquent story with like time slip twist, but once it settles in, it becomes way more personal than that, and there's a strong emotional core about family, regret, and second chances. What stood out was how grounded the relationships felt. Fights are cool, sure, but the heart of the story was watching the characters confront versions of themselves that they didn't understand the first time around. It's scrappy, a little rough, and very sincere. It feels like a story that knows it's not perfect, and it leans into that, and I kind of like it. So the rating is a solid 7.6 out of 10. Thank you Ors for his recommendation. I Am a Hero is one of the most unsettling zombie stories I've ever read. Not because of the monsters, but because of how real it feels. The main character isn't brave at all, or cool or confident. He's awkward and scared and painfully human. The horror really comes from the uncertainty. You're never sure what's real, what's paranoia, and what's already too late. Pacing is slow in the best way possible, letting the dread build up naturally instead of relying on constant shock. It's unforgettable, claustrophobic, and deeply psychological. So this is really survival horror done really right. Rating is a solid 8.7 out of 10. Thank you Mayhaps a Turtle for this recommendation. Now, I've started this manga in the past, but reading further, I had to keep it in the video. Climber is quiet in the way that feels heavy, bro. It's about isolation, obsession, and the kind of loneliness you only understand when you're chasing something nobody else can see. The mountains feel massive, cold, and just unforgiving. The art is just crazy, bro. You guys have to read it. There's very little dialogue compared to how much emotion is actually communicated through the art. Every climb feels like a confrontation with the self. This manga doesn't even rush anything either. It's the patience that makes it incredibly powerful. It's definitely not an easy read, but it's a meaningful one. This is a solid like 10 out of 10, bro. I'm sorry. Thank you Simon the Digger for this recommendation. Trinity Blood feels like a gothic sci-fi opera. Vampires, there's religion, there's political intrigue. It's all drenched in style. Sometimes it prioritizes aesthetic over clarity, but honestly, it's part of the charm. World building is ambitious, and when it hits, it really hits. You can tell there's a lot of lore beneath the surface, even if the story doesn't always slow down to explain it fully. And the main point is, it's dramatic, it's stylish, and it's memorable, even when it's slightly messy. Solid 7 out of 10. Thank you Cam for this rec. You're the GOAT. Choujin X just feels like Ashida is just letting his imagination run wild. I mean that in like the best way. It's like chaotic, unpredictable, and strangely heartfelt. The powers are bizarre, tone shifts constantly, and yet somehow it all works. What I like the most is that it doesn't feel constrained by expectations. It's experimental, sometimes even uncomfortable, but always interesting. You can feel the creative freedom on every page. It's weird, but it's a good weird. This rating is definitely a solid 8 out of 10. Thank you Kaylit for this recommendation. Bibliomania is short, sharp, and unsettling. It feels like a story you read in one sitting and then think about it for the rest of the night. The obsession with books becomes symbolic in a way that's both creepy and poetic. It doesn't overstay its welcome either. That restraint makes it stronger. The art and concept sticks with you long after it's over. So in short, it's really just a small story with a lasting impact, and I liked it. Solid 7 out of 10. Thank you Nxrn for this recommendation. Now, I'm just gonna keep it short right here. Slam dunk. Made by Inoue again. You know, we have 3 of his recommendations on this thing because he's the GOAT. Slam dunk is timeless. Even now, it feels fresh. The humor, the character's growth, the way the basketball is portrayed, everything feels sincere. Sakaguri's journey from delinquent to athlete is one of the most satisfying arcs in sports manga. What makes it special is its balance though. It's funny without being silly, emotional without being melodramatic, and competitive without losing heart. There's a reason this series is considered a legendary manga. The rating is a solid 9.5 out of 10. Thank you, Rotorio, for this rec. Saving the best for last. We have Dog N-word, aka Dog Ningen. Dog Ningen is cursed. There's no other word for it. It's just bizarre. It's just a bizarre story, bro. And it feels like it just crawled out the deepest corner of the internet, and it's strangely compelling. It's not for everyone at all. If you like experimental horror that makes you feel slightly unwell, this delivers exactly that. It commits fully to the bit, and I respect that, honestly. It's wild to the end. Yeah, unironically, this is like a 9 out of 10. Thank you, Lumine, for this recommendation. And that is the end of the video. If you waited the last few months for this video to come out, you really are the GOAT. I definitely can say I've been fatigued in making these videos in such short times, but the Teferi fleet will not stop, bro. We will not stop. I deeply apologize about the bad communication. I decided to upload the video when it felt complete rather than halfway. So shout out to all my Discord and Patreon GOATs that stuck with me through all the long upload times. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next one, and yeah, shout out to you guys.